everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am back today with another project for Doodlebug Design. So today I have a very simple shaped pocket folio using the Hey Pumpkin collection. So I used one of the SVG files available in Lori Whitlock's shop from the collection and modified it a little bit. I took like the little candy pieces that were sticking off the edge here off and made this cute little house that will stand up if you want it to. And I've kind of split it so that this opens up over here. We've got a couple of little tags tucked in a tiny pocket. Got a little photo spot here. When you open it up on this side, we've got a flap with spots for 3 4x6 pictures. And then we've got an accordion pocket situation going on here. And we've got 5 inserts in here. So the inserts are just very straightforward. They are 4x6, well, 4x12 in this case, so that they will each hold at least 2 4x6 photos. This one opens up this way. We've got the spiders with the flowers and the candy on the back. This one opens up like so. This one opens up like this. And this one opens up top fold again. And these all just fit into the little accordion pockets here. In the tutorial, I did say you could probably fit 5 of these pockets on here. After doing all of the matting and decorating, I think you probably should stick to 3 unless you want to widen these spine pieces. So the tutorial will play next. All measurements are given in the tutorial. I walk you through how to modify the SVG file in Cricut Design Space. I actually started out using Silhouette and was having some issues with the machine itself, not with Design Studio. But so I actually had recorded how I modified the file in that program as well, and I'll tack that onto the very, very end of the video. But I did end up using the Cricut to cut everything instead of the Silhouette. I was having some problems with it cutting chipboard, but that's probably a me problem since it's the first time I've used it in like 10 years. So yeah, so tutorial plays next. As always, thank you for watching. If you end up making this, please share it on social media and tag Doodlebug Design and tag me, Scrapping Under the Influence. And let's get to the tutorial. Okay, so I was going to do this in Silhouette because I've just recently gotten a Silhouette for the first time in like 10 years, and I had recorded how to break this apart and everything, and I might tack this on at the end of the video. The problem I ran into is it does not want to cut chipboard. I got the deeper blade, the whole 9 yards. It's just every time it goes to cut, it ends up pulling the matting crooked while it's cutting, even though, so I don't know if it's the machine. I know I'm loading it correctly. I'm not sure what the deal is. So we're going to start back and do this in Design Space, which, you know, there's a few things in Design Space that, of course, it does not let us do, which is a little bit frustrating. But overall, I think this is probably going to be our better option. So I have uploaded my house. And we're going to get it sized where I want it. That's close to where I want it. So it's going to end up being just under 9 inches high. But you know what, maybe we'll just make that an even 9 to make it easy. And then we're actually going to modify this a little bit and get rid of the candy that's on here because we'll end up decorating it with pieces from the odds and ends, chit chat, shape sprinkles, so on and so forth. So first thing I want to do is get it to the size that I want. Sorry, I was playing with this in here and then was like, no, we need to record this. Okay, so, and this process is pretty much how I do any of my shaped albums. So I get asked this a lot. I was most recently asked on a Halloween album that was a house-shaped album that I did like 4 or 5, probably longer than that. I think it was before the basement was finished, so like 6 years ago. But this is the basic process I go through every time I do a shaped album. And I've got a couple other tutorials where I walk through this, but we're going to do it again because we're going to do it again. So I've got my main file to the size that I want. So what I'm going to do is just make a couple of copies of it. No, that's not what I wanted. Haha, there we go. Okay, just so I've got one or two, typically two, that I haven't messed with. So if something goes horribly sideways, I can delete what I've been playing with and grab the next one that's ready to go. Or if I have a piece that I delete by mistake and I don't realize till later, I've got another copy that's the right size. Okay. That may be overkill, but that's just typically how I do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and expand out the group, because the first thing I want to do, actually, we're going to do this slightly different. Okay, I am going to ungroup. And I'm going to come in here and get rid of the extra pieces that I don't want. So it's basically going to be all of these little candy canes, the grass, that kind of thing. So I want the porch to stay intact. I want the steps to stay intact. I want the posts on the side of the porch to stay intact. I don't want the candy corns and the suckers and whatnot that are kind of hanging off the side here. Okay. So I'm going to do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my shapes panel. I'm going to grab a basic shape. And you've probably seen me do this before. I am going to line this up. It needs to be slightly smaller. Up as close to the edge of that porch post as I can get it without going on top of the base there. Which means it may need to be just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to select that. I'm going to select this white layer. And I'm going to slice. Okay. Because then I am getting rid of all of this stuff that I don't want. Okay. I'm going to do it again. And I'm just going to repeat this until I've essentially cut away all of this extra stuff that I don't want. Now, that's where the silhouette is absolutely in Design Studio, or not Design Studio, Silhouette Studio is infinitely superior. There's much easier ways to do this in that program. However, what I was running into was, like I said, as soon as I went to cut it, I was having problems. So I could probably leave it at this point right here with just those, well, let me get this other side, with just those pieces gone. However, we don't want, if we can get rid of them, let's get rid of them. Okay. You could cut them off manually once you have finished cutting everything out, and that would actually work as well. But we're just going to do this because we're going to do it this way. And at this point, I have done enough of them in the last probably 10 years since Design Space first came out that I could do this part in my sleep. So, of course, the biggest differences between Silhouette and Cricut is, the software. The software for the Cricut for Design Studio is very, very easy to use. I have never had a problem. Most people, once you get in here and play, it's not too bad. Okay, so we've removed all that extra stuff. Now what we're going to do is take this whole thing and we are going to weld it. Okay, the reason we're going to do that, and it didn't pick up the pumpkin, and that's okay. The reason we're going to do that is if we take just the white layer that's kind of like the base layer, if you were to just cut this to assemble it for a card or something, it's always going to be just slightly smaller than these outside edges, okay? Because it basically gives you a white base piece. Let me find that here in the layers panel. I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so if I copy and I paste that, okay, so that is just copied and paste. You see how it's slightly smaller? That's fine if you're just assembling it. For what we're trying to do, we need this to be the same size, okay? So there is our first part of our chipboard layer, okay? We'll cut two of these, one for the back of the book, one for the front of the book. And since we're making this into, we're going to have this little front porch piece be a separate piece that opens. We're basically going to do somewhat similar, only in this case, I'm going to copy this and paste it. And I'm going to paste it one more time, just because Design Studio, again, I find it easier to just, however many pieces I need to cut, to just have them ready to go. Okay, so basically we want from here down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, excuse me. Okay, no, that's not it. That's not it. I'm going to copy and paste the two pieces that are part of that porch. Okay, I'm going to make sure both are selected. I'm going to weld them. Okay, then I'm going to take this whole piece, I'm going to slice it, and then I can get rid of my extra. Okay, and I just got rid of the wrong piece. Oh my lord. Okay, we're going to try this again. Okay, so that's been sliced. Oops. Okay, no, this isn't working like I want it to. Okay. Okay, let's move this back over. Okay. I literally just did this a minute ago and I don't remember what I did. I think that's what I did. Okay, there we go. And then I can take this and I can weld it together. There we go. Now, what I want to do is hide my contours. So I don't want that little gap to cut on my chipboard on any of these. So we're going to hide those. If my mouse would like to cooperate with us today. Okay. All right, so here's our chipboard pieces. These are also going to be our matting for the chipboard front and back. And now we need to take our last little house. I'm going to copy and paste another copy just because I'm paranoid and I know how I get. All right, so now I can ungroup this and we can get rid of these pieces again. And we can actually get rid of the white layer that's back behind there. because we do not need to cut that. We don't need all of these other little extra pieces hanging out because we'll end up, like I said, decorating this with other stuff. If you want to go ahead and cut them, by all means, go ahead and leave them there and cut them. I just didn't want to have to deal with the chipboard for that. That's going to be, on the thinner side. It's going to be a little bit harder to cut, and a little bit harder to work with if we leave those on there and try to cut them. Okay, so all of the rest of these pieces we are going to cut. I may end up skipping all the little dots because I can use the sprinkles that match and put them there instead, or I can use jewels, or I can use any one of the embellishments for design space for that. So what I'm going to do here, however, is I'm going to hide that house since we don't need that one. And then we've got the rest of our pieces ready to go. I am going to go ahead and group these again, just so if I need to move them somewhere, I can without too much hassle. And then I can go ahead and I cannot type. There we go. Okay. So, and of course it's not going to find my why is it doing that? Why is it showing that? It shouldn't, if it's hidden. It should not be showing. Oh, it's because I've got another one out there. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's try this again. All right, that makes more sense. So that's the white. This one, of course, we don't want those pieces to cut there. So I'm actually going to just move them. I do this a lot to save paper, to not have to load as many mats, particularly when I'm, have a lot of like smaller pieces like this. I do move them around. It's definitely a more advanced skill, I would say. No, not really. It's just you just have to remember what you moved where and what color it's really supposed to be, because of course it's going to pull up when it wants us to cut the white mat. That's obviously not our white pieces. Okay, that one's good. That one's a different gray, but I don't think it really is because I don't have a second gray for the for that. Okay, there's all of our black pieces. And again, it does this where it's like really kind of weirdly nuanced colors that it sometimes picks up that don't always make sense. That you're looking at it on the screen going, okay, they're not that different, but for whatever reason, the Cricut will pick them up as different colors, and then this is what happens, that it thinks you need like one piece for a bunch of little tiny pieces that really are not that different. But that's okay. So I'm going to move all of this. Let's see what's on this one. That's going to be my steps, which I think I want those to be black. So we're going to move those over here. No. Move that. Move that. Okay. What else have I got? See, it's got like those dots, and then it's got the pumpkin, and then it's got more dots. and it's just insane. So I will decide which of those I'm actually going to cut when it gets closer to. That, of course, is the main piece for the house. But for now, I can go ahead and get these cut. So I'm going to cut stuff and we'll be back to put it together. Okay, so I have my chipboard cut. So I've got front, back, other front, and we need to do our spines. So because this is a folio, it's very small, and we're going to attach it right here along the side where these the posts are, essentially on the front of the house. These are very small. This can be very simple. So these are both 1 and 15/16. Okay. One of them is 1 inch wide. One of them is 7/8 inch wide. Okay. So this is how it's going to go together. So our narrower one is going to go here. Our wider one is going to go here. Okay. Need to cover this with tape. Honestly, we could glue it since it's tiny and it's not like it's going to make that much of a difference, but or whatever. Hold on 1 second. My son thinks I'm making pizza. Okay, sorry. All right. Where was I? Tape. Score tape. Okay, so like I said, these are just under 2 inches, so 1 and 15/16 because, you know, that sounds like a fun number to try to cut with chipboard, but if you cut it with, yeah, it can be done, obviously, because I did it. Okay, can you tell it's late and I'm getting loopy? Because, you know, this whole spending forever fighting with the silhouette did not help matters. Okay, so for the paper to wrap this, it is not correct apparently because, you know what, it's fine. We're going to do it with a 1 inch border. So these are 3x4. If you wanted to make them the normal width to wrap your spine, it would be 4x5. But apparently, like I said, at this point on a Thursday, math is not my strong suit. Okay, so getting the backing off of this. The cat has been absolutely silent until I turned on the camera again, and now he's yowling again. Okay, I'm doing it with polka dot side out. Doesn't matter, you can do it either direction. You can do it with solid cardstock. I am using the dot stripe petite print in bubblegum. I debated which one I wanted to use. I know I wanted to use a petite print of some kind. The one I really wanted, I'm almost out of, so I went this route, which is fine. Okay. Move the spacers. Move the scoreboard. We're just going to fold and fold. And actually, we're going to do it just like that. We are not going to miter these. We are not going to do anything like I normally would do it with these. We are just going to fold it all the way around because this is sized to where it's going to wrap fully around, which I still have a reinforcement piece, but then we're going to have a little bit of added strength because we're going to do it with the it's going to be doubled up. I know what I'm trying to say. I promise you. I don't know what my problem is tonight. Probably the fact that my son had a cheeseburger at like 3 o'clock and suddenly he's now decided he needs to eat. And it's like 7:30. But that's okay. He can hold on for a few more minutes while we get this put together. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, backing off of this. And apparently scratch my nails at the same time. Okay. All right. And the other side. Which one is this one? Hold on. So that I don't get them mixed up. Okay, this is my smaller one. This is my bigger one. You can kind of tell by looking, but I can tell you once you wrap it, it's a little bit harder to tell. Okay. So we're going to go up and over. And over. Okay. So I am going to fold that over. This is going to go like so. We want about 1/8 of an inch. Normally I would use my spacer, which I guess I can still kind of use my spacer. And I am going to glue okay. This much is going to be very, very easy to line up because it's literally going right in between these two notches. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other half. Yes, that is the bottle for my glue press, but for now we're going to use it just like that because honestly I'm not sure where my glue press is off the top of my head right now. And Gus is going to serenade us again apparently because this is what he does. Doesn't help that my husband is out of town, so then he gets weirdly clingy with me when my husband's gone. So there you go. Okay, there's that. And there's that one. And then we'll go ahead and fold these over as well. So this is a little bit different than the way I usually do this. And again, this is literally just because of the size. Because it is small, because I'm using petite prints when I would usually use the slightly heavier cardstock I normally use for bases. We're just trying to make sure that this is going to work the way we would like. Okay. All right, so then again, I'm going to fold this over going to fold this over. We're going to start on this side with this one. Make sure your pieces are going the right direction. So I know when you see the house file, this is the correct direction. But see this little pumpkin? Notice how I put him on the green background backwards? Yeah, I didn't want to recut it. So we're just flipping it over because it's okay. And we can do that. It's not an accident. It's not a problem. It's a creative opportunity. We're going to go with that. That is the hill I will die on tonight. Okay. We'll do this one over here and line him up the same way. We should be, about 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So this much is ready to go. For the back side of this, I did cut, nope, that's not my piece. I did cut my petite print using the offset with Cricut so that it's slightly smaller because I did use the black chipboard, and I really don't think I need to totally cover that because the black chipboard, quite honestly, that is one of the benefits of using it, is it has a nice clean edge once you cut it, so you really can just kind of leave it as is, which is what I think I'm going to do here. So I've got those to put on there later. I still haven't cut my matting for this one or for the back yet. But what we're going to do here, so this is our front cover, okay? So this is going to fold up like so, okay? So I'm going to do it face down. We're going to go ahead and start with this solid base. I did cut this the same size as the chipboard. Didn't leave a border. It's going to match right up with the chipboard. And this is the fine tip. No wonder it doesn't want to come out. Need to grab the other glue. Okay, so this is going to line up exactly on top of here. Okay, so let me grab my other glue because this is the one I was using to glue little pieces and parts together, and I don't really need to do that right now. So, all right. So on this one, so here's all of our little pieces and parts. So this, 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 and the two columns are going to go down here, which where this one kind of comes across, if you wanted to put some black on top of that, you absolutely could. I think I'm going to. That bigger window and the door go on here. Everything else goes on this piece. So we've got two windows. Oh, and then there's stairs that go on this other piece too. Okay. So we've got our little chimney piece. Fairly self-explanatory where this one goes. I did glue all of my pieces together off camera because they're fairly self-explanatory. This one has a gray layer and then the white and then the little black stripes. And that's going to fit right here like so. I'm going to lay this here for now just to figure out my spacing on my windows. So my windows are going to look like this, and then we'll put something up there to decorate that. Go ahead and put my pumpkin on up here like so, and then my windows. You could pop them up if you want to. I'm actually going to leave them just like this. I think just with the paper piecing, we've got decent dimension going on here. And the fronts of an album, it's always kind of hard anyway. Okay. So then I'm going to get a little scrap of black that I'm going to put right here. That's just going to go underneath all of my stuff here. You will have noticed too, we wrapped our little spine pieces to the outside, and that's just because the way this is being assembled, I thought that was going to be a little bit easier. So that's what we went for. Okay. So I'm going to put my little porch down like so. I'm going to get my little pillars. And they are going to go right to that outside edge, because you'll remember when we were cleaning up the file, we hid that little gap between the house and the pillars, simply because that will just make this whole process a little bit easier. So this is actually going to be about 1/8 of an inch too tall. So I am going to trim just a little bit off the top of that so that it sits down underneath our little roof line piece. And I am going to do this one to the polka dot side. Okay. And I'm just going to center that there. This is going to go on top. And right here. And then this is going to come over here. And I can't really see my step because it is the same color. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know where what's that one? Okay, so my white gel pens apparently have all disappeared. Okay, well, I'll put that on in a minute, but I'm just going to take some white gel pen and just kind of, or I might recut it in the lighter gray. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. No big deal. I'm not going to attach this yet because I think I want to have a little ghost sticking out the side of that. So I'm going to set both of these pieces aside. And then we're going to, so when it's closed, it's going to close up just like so. And then open and then open. So you can put a nice photo mat here. We're going to have a photo mat or something here. Well, we're going to do this here and then probably do some other decorations. On the back side of this, I'm going to put this one on here. But before we do that, we do need to do our reinforcement pieces, which I totally got carried away with. Oh my Lord. Because apparently I cannot measure today to save my life. Okay, so let me find, that's not it, score tape. And Okay. Let's make sure we're doing the same side facing out on both of them, which in this case is going to be the polka dots, which is fine. And I know this is going to overlap because these aren't quite 2 inches high, but that's okay. It will be just fine. Okay. Okay. All right. So both of these, we are just going to get the backing off of the tape. Like so. And put those down to reinforce. And then I will come back with our matting for these inside pieces, our other two pieces, because one of them is going to go right there like that. And the other one's going to go over there. I still need to cut my middle one and the back matting on this one, which really it's the black chipboard. I could leave it, but I won't. And then some fun little flips and flaps and pockets and things. So let me get this one down. Okay. All right. So we are going to burnish this down. Fix our crease. Because I do also, before I do anything else, I do want to add a magnet here and a magnet here that will go underneath the photo mat to hold this all closed when it's done. Okay, so let me get some other things together and I'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead and cut the little steps in the lighter color. Let's go ahead and do our magnet. So I'm going to do it on this side first. Actually, no, I'm going to do it on this other side so that I can line this up where I can put a photo mat over the top of it, since I forgot to put it on underneath the matting, which is fine. I mean, it happens. It's not the end of the world. So I'm going to go ahead and get that lined up. Make sure everything's lined up the right way here. And then pick up my tape. There we go. Okay, so now I can get the backing off of this one. I can go ahead and glue my matting for the inside on here. Okay, all right, so that's good. I've got my piece for over here, and I cut my piece for here, so I can go ahead and glue those down. And then we can move on to the inside pieces and parts of our little haunted house or candy house folio here. Okay, so we got that one. And that one. Okay, let me gather up my other pieces and parts. And I will be right back. Oh, I did also mat the back of this with just this big solid. So I cut like the same piece that I would have cut for the chipboard. I cut in the pattern just to completely cover that, and then I can put, another photo mat or something on the back if I so choose. My door is still sitting waiting over here because I do want to put a ghost or something. Actually, we might come back and decorate the front of this just because it's going to definitely be easier when we can flip this out flat like that. So let me get that together and I'll be back. Okay, so for the little dots that are on here, I'm just using the sprinkles, Halloween assortment sprinkles that coordinate with the Hey Pumpkin collection. And I'm going to use the biggest one on here. And then I'm just going to kind of alternate across. And this is just an old, totally dull pen blade that I have found to be very helpful to pick up this kind of stuff, except when I do that, and be able to pick them up and then lay them down. So just, one of those things. Actually, I'm going to go over one more here because, of course, me having to, make sure everything is like symmetrical and even, and I don't want to use the black and white. I'm actually going to be short, I think it was 2 or 3 of these. So what I'm going to do is on 3 spots, I'm going to use a Halloween night shape sprinkle. I think I'm going to use the little spiders, or I could use something from the Puffy Icons or the mini icons, but I think I'm going to just use the little spiders here and there, like so. So that's all good. Okay, so for my bat here, I'm actually going to use one of the icon sticker ghosts. I'm going to kind of put him like so. Let me grab some foam squares because I do want to pop him up. Okay. So he's going to sit just like that. We're going to put a couple of foam squares on the back of the door as well. Just to pop that up as well. Maybe. See, I can actually get them off of their carrier sheet over here. That's just going to center up just like that. Okay, and then on my porch here, I'm going to use some of the Puffy Icons. So I think I'm going to use that little pumpkin, this little squatty pumpkin, and then this one with the little tooth. Okay, and then beyond that, I think I had this planned out in my head and then I had to work. So now I don't remember what I was thinking. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so I was going to use I think a couple of the pieces from the icon stickers. And that one does not want to lift up. Which I know happens occasionally, but do him like that. And then I'm going to take actually, no, I don't want to use that. So we're just going to stick that one back on there. And I'm going to come over here and get put stuff not where I want it, apparently. And we're just going to kind of randomly get some of these little Puffy Icon candies on here. Kind of layer them up a little bit. And then I think, what's I going to do? Don't remember. Sorry, bear with me for just a second here. Because I know I had a plan, but that was prior to having to work for a little bit today. A little bit, like all day, but still. Okay, I think I'm gonna put him. No, don't think I like him right there. I may come add some more back to this. I'm not positive yet though. Okay, so for this up here, I think I had a chit chat piece that I was going to use there, but I don't remember for sure. And I'm not finding it, so I might have used it somewhere else. Or not chit chat, odds and ends. What did I say? I might have said the right one. I honestly don't know. Nope. Okay. There was a cute, oh, you know what? I think I did use that one, didn't I? There was a cute, like, spider web one. And see, those are super cute, but they're too big. So, although those aren't. Ah, there we go. We can use that one. That's actually sized even better. So we're going to put this one up here, but I'm going to trim a little bit off the side so that he kind of sits at an angle there. And then I wanted one of these little puffy bats. We're going to kind of put him like so. And another one over here like so, which I will come back and glue those down more permanently, just because. But then this is all closed. There's our cute little house. What What I could do actually is take one of these little teensy ghosts. No, I think I'm going to leave it. I think we're good. Okay, so front of our house is decorated. We need our mat for right there. And I think I'm going to just do black cardstock. And I'm going to cut it to 3.5 by 5. And that one's going to go down right there. Get the backing off of that. And then you're going to glue that down, and then I can always come back later with odds and ends and chit chat and so forth and decorate that. I'm trying really hard not to have to break into my backup odds and ends, because I did end up buying another one because I had used so many of them with the projects that I have done so far. So, all right, so there is the front of our album. And when I come back, we'll do our inside. Okay, so for our pockets, you're going to want 5 pieces that are 7.25 by 5.5. Okay, all of these are going to be scored starting at 7.25 on the top, at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, which I need to use. Keep forgetting that one's not quite the one I want. Okay, turn it 1/2 inch, turn it again, then 1/2, 1, and 1.5. Okay, like so. Now, what you're going to do is where you've got your score lines on the bottom, you're going to cut straight up on the inside of the score line on the bottom, on the middle, okay? And then from the side, you're going to angle it just ever so slightly. Like, you're not going to look at it and be able to tell it's angled, but it's angled, okay? We're going to do that on all 4 pieces. I've done a couple of mine, so just so you see again, that was actually angled out of habit. It doesn't need to be. Okay, so there's all 4. Okay, I've glued one of these in already. What we're going to do is you're going to fold up your sides in an accordion. And burnish those down. Try to get it as straight as you can. I know sometimes with accordions that can be kind of hard. Especially if your score lines don't want to cooperate. Okay, I'm going to fold up my bottom. And then what you're going to do, so like I said, I've glued one in here already. I'm going completely even with the bottom, and then it should be centered side to side. What I'm going to do is get glue on my tabs. I'm going to fold those in. I'm going to fold the bottom up over and then get glue on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to line it up on top of the one before it and glue it down. Okay, so as we get these in here, they are going to kind of pop out just a little bit. In fact, you may only want to put 3 as opposed to 5 in here. I'm going to kind of see how that feels for mine. If you're like really good at getting these to lay super flat, you're probably going to want the 5. I'm honestly not sure which way I'm going to want to go on this. So I did go ahead and cut all 5, but I may just do the 3. Because where there are accordion pockets, you're going to be able to get several inserts in there, so that won't be a problem. Okay. Then over and glue it in. Okay. For our inserts for all of those little pockets, I have 3 different options for you. In fact, that one I meant to cut down to do. Okay. So I will end up doing 2 of each of these. So 2 different pockets will have the same one. First one, 6 by 12. Okay. It's 12 inches at the top of the scoreboard. You're going to score this at 4 inches and 8 inches. And then we're just going to do a very basic accordion fold on that. And that will go in one of the pockets. Next option, 4 by 12. Score at 6 inches. You have a nice little top folding booklet to go in a pocket. The last is 6 by 8, scored again at 4 inches. And that will be another that can go in one of these pockets. So like I said, you can do all of these the same. You can do any combination of these. I'm doing 2 of each because I have 6 pockets. And if you wanted to make your spine pieces on this a little bit wider, you could put more of those pockets in there. Honestly, I probably could have put a couple more in there than what I've got right now, but I didn't want to push my luck and get it too full because I'm very good at overstuffing these things sometimes when I get all excited with an idea and get carried away. This one I'm actually cutting down to 4 inches from the 6 inches. So do that really quick. Okay. And then all you have to do is just mat these if you want to do just photo mats, if you want to put patterned paper on the fronts. However you decide you want to do these, but these will just slip in to these pockets, just like so. And the reason we're doing them 6 inches high is then at least they're not going to stick out beyond the edges of our book. Trifold does not want to go in there as easily as the other ones, but that's okay. If you wanted to add a couple of extra gussets on these pockets and make this into more of an accordion style, you absolutely could do that. Somewhere here I have missed a pocket. I'm not even sure where. Did I put that one into? Anyway, you get the basic idea. Okay, so then this closes up like so. We've still got some space in there. Okay, so really what I could do, I keep trying to open that the wrong direction, I don't know why. I could take one of these. In fact, I think that is what I'm going to do with my extra one here. Only thing is, I am going to trim just a hair. I probably shouldn't do it with this trimmer, and I'm going to regret it, but we're going to try anyway. Oh, there we go. Apparently you just have to like put a ton of pressure on it to keep the paper from moving. I am going to go ahead and fold that around like so. And then that actually can go right here. And then I can do another little photo mat, or I can just do a little scene with the odds and ends or the mini icons or what have you over here. But that is going to be the project. So super simple. Like I said, the hardest part is going to be doing your file. If you didn't want to do the shaped version of this, I would suggest doing the, let's move that up just a hair. I would suggest making your base 4.5 by 6.5 and just do a little square base like that, and then still do your narrower spines. You of course would make them taller if you were doing this like a non-shaped traditional mini album. But there you go. That's about all she wrote. As always, thank you for watching. If you end up making this project, please share it with us at Doodlebug Design. Tag us on Instagram, Facebook, and all the socials at Doodlebug. And also you can share them with me on my pages, either Scrapping Under the Influence on Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok actually. Not that I post there super often, but I am on there. And then I do have a Facebook group, Scrap Happy Peeps, where you can share anything you've made. It does not have to be one of my tutorials. It can be anything you've made. It doesn't have to be paper crafts. It can be anything. But as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Okay, so we are in Silhouette Studio Designer Edition. I recently got a silhouette, again, after not having one for many, many years, so I'm relearning Silhouette Studio. So I decided for this one I'm going to do this project in here as opposed to Design Space to force myself to relearn it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the Hey Pumpkin Halloween Candy House is the file we're going to use. Oops, don't do that. Undo. Okay. First thing I want to do is just kind of get this on the center of my mat. And then I want to start kind of removing pieces and parts that I don't want. Okay. So I'm not going to, oh, what did I just do? I'm not going to use these candy pieces as part of the chipboard that we're going to cut. So I want to kind of remove them for now. I'm going to move our step, remove the base part of our house here. And our main base part is this white part. So I'm going to move that out of the way for right now so that I can kind of highlight. Oh, don't do that. That was too many pieces. It's thinking one of these is part of that when it's really probably not. Oh, for crying out loud, I don't know why it keeps going into that node thing. That is not what I want. There we go. Of course, then there's the added bonus to me getting halfway through this with the wrong house. So at least now I kind of know what I'm doing. Kind of, sort of. We'll see here, huh? Okay. So that much is good. That is going to stay. This is going to stay. Granted, none of those are exactly where they're supposed to be, but that's okay. What is it that it thinks is so far out here? Oh my lord. Okay, clearly I keep doing something wrong. As much as I would like to do it this way, we may end up back in design space here in a minute. Okay. Yep, that's fine. Okay. So we're just very slowly, methodically removing the pieces that I don't want so that we don't have this completely freak out like it keeps doing. And I'm going to swear at it if it does it again. And then I will give up and I will go to design space. Okay. So basically what we're trying to do here is I'm trying to get rid of all of this little decorative stuff that's down here along the front, because when I decorate the front of this, I will use odds and ends, I'll use chit chat, I'll use shape sprinkles, all of that kind of thing. Okay, I don't need to cut all of these pieces at this point in time from that. Okay, so this much is all good. I'm going to group this so I can drag it off in one piece and not mess it up. And bring our other piece back in. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to draw a box. This is very similar to how I would do this in design space as well. Okay. Oops, let's undo that. I didn't mean to draw the little line up there. I forget with this, you have to switch back to your little pointer tool. And I'm going to come up here on the modify panel and I'm going to click divide. Because what that's going to do is it's going to move. I will have essentially cut that side of the house off, which is what I want. Now, it's not perfect. There's like a slight lump there, but it's okay because I don't want that. Okay. We're going to do that. We're going to divide again. And then we're going to delete all of that. Oh my gosh. How does that keep doing that? Okay. So now we've got our base. We've got our house. Okay. So now I want, okay, so this is going to be my main part of my base. This is 8 inches by 5 1/4, which is, oh no, don't resize it yet. Hold on. Let's get all of this back together for just a minute. Okay, now We're going to resize the whole thing at once, and I would like it to be 6 1/4 inches. So I'm going to get as close to that as I can and call it good. So here is one chipboard piece. Now, we are going to take this, we're going to copy it. I'm going to paste it and drag it out of the way because now we're going to work on creating our next layer, which is going to be the porch and like this little roof area over the porch. Okay. So I am going to ungroup this and I'm going to basically do the same thing again. I'm going to remove the pieces and parts that I don't want right now. Nope, not the pink one. Pink one's the one we gotta. Okay, get rid of our little candy piece. Okay. So our door and doorknob are all fine. Our window is fine. What we want to do is we need this to split between here and here. So I got that off, and that one can go away. What I want to do down here is then weld that entire section together. I want to remember if that's what I want. Yes, that's what I want. Okay. If I do the release compound path, then that removes those little spaces between the columns here, okay, which is what I want. So now when we cut the chipboard for this book, we've got our base, we've got our front, okay? And we'll actually end up cutting, because this is going to be a trifold, we'll end up cutting 2 of this one. So I'm going to copy and paste that one. So we've got 2 of that one. Since this all is sized exactly how we need it for all the little design elements, I'm actually going to go ahead and delete those because we don't really need them. We've got them already. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut my chipboard. I feel like it just did something it's not supposed to do. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to cut my chipboard, which is going to be these 2 and this. I'm also going to cut that in the solid paper to match, to layer, or not to layer, to mat that on both sides. So I'll cut 2 pieces in cardstock like this, and I'll cut 4 pieces in the cardstock like this, and then I'll cut all of these little pieces and parts that go onto the house itself. Okay, so let me go ahead and cut that and figure out why the cat is yowling at me again. But that's basically how we're going to make the base of our shaped album. Okay. So when I come back, I will have things cut and we will work on building our base.